Hey, I'm Andrew, and I had a lot of inquiries on how I did my dye job on that bag that I just did for the Ukrainian support auction. It was the three colors kind of in a burst. So, anyways, I said I'd do a video this weekend, and I guess I will. So, what I used for it, I used Phoebing's Pro Yellow, followed by Saddle Tan, followed by Show Brown. As for applicators, I used just scraps of denim. The reason I use denim is because you actually get a bit of the texture of the denim itself in the piece, and I really enjoy that. So what I did is I started with my yellow, and these are dry. They're just obviously stained as heck, but use them as much as you can. And just cover the hole. Give it a quick once. For the yellow, I'm gonna go quite high concentrate, and I'm just gonna give the whole thing a nice coat of yellow. The nice thing about this is I've heard people say you use a lot of dye doing it this way. I don't think you do. I think you use quite a little bit of dye. And it dries really quick, and if you're not entirely even with it, and any blemishes in the leather itself you get really add to the overall color. I'm going to go a little harder on the edges here, just to kind of give it a little bit of a darker and start that burst. And then I'll kind of work it in, slowly applying less pressure as I go into the middle. Kind of like so. So you'll start off with just a fairly even coat of yellow. So we got our texture of the actual hide itself, but the denim allows that texture to really kind of come through because it's not like a soaking wet cloth or anything. And the texture of the denim itself helps aid that, I find. So once we're done with that, we're going to take our saddle pan, and we're kind of just going to do the same thing. Take a bit, and we're going to start on the edges here. Give the edges a good one. And just keep going so you kind of get a nice even coat on your edges. And then same thing, you're just gonna slowly apply a little bit of pressure and work it into the shape that you're looking for. Like, you can go round, you can go square, whatever you want. And obviously the more you go, the longer you go, the darker it'll get. It can take quite a bit of time to kind of get that feel going on, but it is what it is. Add a little bit more. So in this case, I don't want to go too heavy, so I'm just going to wipe some off. Did that out of camera. I'm wiping it off here, just so I'm applying quite a bit less than I initially did, because I don't want to darken the outsides too much, but I do want to work it in a little bit more to the center. For the current thing I'm working on, my knife is driving me nuts. You do want a sturdy table for this, because I'm putting a fair amount of pressure here. As you could probably hear as I start going, my voice breaks a little bit, but that's part of it. So right now we've got our nice yellow, and then we've got our saddle tan, and it has some of the yellow underneath. The pattern itself is looking okay, but we'll make it look a little nicer when we add our show brown. This will work with any color combination. This is just the one that I was using, and I thought I'd do it again just so you guys knew what the end product looked like, is familiar to you. So again, I'm using quite a bit on the beginning. I'm going to get the edges first. Same thing, I'll take a little bit off of that extra, then I'll slowly work it in a bit. Till you kind of get something you're happy with. Now this is quite a bit smaller piece. This is going to be the back of a vertical wallet. So I'm kind of thinking I'm going to have to make this actual center a little bit lighter, because we're kind of just we got brown and then more brown, and we're kind of missing that, almost that saddle tan ring. So I'm not going to use it much more for the show brown. I will kind of work this a little bit so we can get rid of those hard edges. I'm going to go back to my saddle tan here. Again, wipe the excess off because I just want a little. I'm going to start on the edge, work my way in, and kind of close that ring up a bit, just so we can get a little bit more of a burst in there, instead of just going straight for brown to yellow. Get that nice in between color there as well. I should also state that this isn't I didn't come up with this. I've seen a lot of people have this design and I really liked it. I watched a bunch of videos, took what I liked out of each video the most, and then kind of applied a bunch of different techniques, plus the blue jean one, which I like quite a bit, to achieve this particular finish. So right now we're getting a little nicer. We kind of got that feel going on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit everything with another coat of yellow. Just wipe a little off because the yellow ain't going to do much, but the yellow kind of blends everything. It makes the interior a little more, but it also fills in a little bit of gaps where maybe your dye didn't take as well, and I don't really know how to explain it. It does what it really finishes off that project. So now we're looking at something like that, and that's pretty close. You can see here that I went a little too heavy on the show brown on the edges there, so that I'll just buff out with a buffing cloth. And then the nice thing about this is since you're applying such a little bit, and you can see my glove's quite clean, it dries pretty quick. So you might want to give it a little bit of time to actually dry, but you can potentially start working on this right away. So you're definitely going to want to buff it, because you kind of get some smoky textures going on just from rubbing it so abrasively. So if you are to give it a quick buff and then hit it with a coat of mink oil or whichever you use. I like mink oil. Normally I'm a huge advocate for olive oil, but mink just did better on this. It'll really bring that shine and that pop back into it. So that's pretty much how I did that bag. Same basic effect going on here. I'll take some pictures and post them as well so you guys can see in a proper light. Thanks for showing your interest, and thanks for taking time to hear me ramble about this. Best of luck. I'd like to see what you guys come up with too. Thanks.